The rain was merciless. Cold, sharp drops tore through the city like shattered glass falling from the sky. People rushed past, umbrellas up, heads down, hearts closed. But he stopped. A billionaire, soaked in a designer suit, frozen mid-step on the sidewalk. Not by the weather, but by a sound. Soft, broken. A girl's voice, trembling. "Please, just something for my baby. She's cold." What he saw shattered the walls he had spent a lifetime building. But what he discovered, that's what brought him to his knees. Now the story begins. Ethan Hayes didn't cry. He didn't do emotions. When you're worth $6.3 billion and your calendar is measured in seconds, not days, feelings become inconvenient. That morning, his schedule was as precise as a surgical blade. Meetings, flights, deals, a new real estate project that would swallow 2 city blocks. Rain or not, business moved forward. The world waited for no one. But fate doesn't care about calendars. As his driver pulled up near the old metro underpass, closed for years, crumbling brick and graffiti stains, Ethan signaled to stop. "Something's not right," he muttered. The driver hesitated. "Sir, this isn't your destination." Ethan didn't respond. His eyes were locked on a figure sitting on the wet sidewalk. A girl, barely 16, soaked to the bone, holding something tightly against her chest. The umbrella in Ethan's hand hung uselessly at his side. He stepped into the rain. The girl was trembling. Her lips blue, her arms wrapped around a bundle of cloth that barely stirred. As he got closer, the reality hit him like a punch to the ribs. It was a baby, tiny, fragile, wrapped in a torn sweater. No shoes, no hat, no blanket, just skin and rain and silence. The girl looked up at him, eyes hollow, cheeks sunken, lips cracked. "Please!" Her voice was barely a whisper. "She hasn't eaten in 2 days." For the first time in years, Ethan felt something unfamiliar. Guilt, it was deeper, heavier, like a ghost from a life he had long buried. He crouched down, ignoring the soaking puddle. "What's your name?" he asked softly. She blinked, confused by the kindness in his voice. "Lila." The baby shifted slightly, letting out a weak whimper. Ethan's throat tightened. He removed his jacket, cashmere, custom, worth more than the girl had probably seen in a year, and wrapped it around the baby without hesitation. "You can't be out here in this cold," he said. "You'll both die." The girl's eyes welled with tears, but she shook her head. "I don't have anywhere else to go. The shelter kicked us out. I didn't have ID. They said rules are rules." Ethan stood. He didn't speak. Instead, he pulled out his phone and made a call. "James, cancel the next 3 meetings." "But sir, cancel them and get me a doctor. I need one at my penthouse. Now." He hung up before the assistant could protest. Turning back, he gently extended his hand to the girl. "Come with me." She hesitated. Years of mistrust, abuse, and rejection painted her every reaction. But something in his eyes, something quiet, real, not pity, not charity, just care. She took his hand, and just like that, one decision changed both of their lives forever. Back at the penthouse, everything was a blur. Warm towels, a fire lit instantly, a pediatrician checking the baby's vitals, fresh clothes, food, real food. Lila sat wrapped in a robe, barely speaking, staring at the flames. Ethan stood nearby, arms crossed, wrestling with something inside himself. The baby, whom Lila called Hope, was severely malnourished. The doctor's voice was firm. "She needs care, immediately. If you hadn't brought her in today, she wouldn't have survived another night." Ethan turned away, trying to hide the sting in his eyes. How many times had he walked past people like her? How many silent cries had he ignored? Why had it taken this to make him feel again? That night, Ethan didn't sleep. He sat in the nursery, his nursery, untouched for years, the one built for a child he never had, the room he never entered, until now. Hope slept peacefully. Lila curled on the couch nearby, exhausted. Ethan stared at the soft rise and fall of the baby's chest. A thought gripped him, tight, almost painful. What if this is the reason I was meant to stop today? Not business, not profits, but this moment, this breath, this child. The sun rose quietly. Golden streaks slid across the windows of the penthouse like silent apologies from the sky. The storm had passed, but the echoes of the night still lingered. Ethan sat at the kitchen table, coffee untouched, watching the city come to life beneath him. Skyscrapers glittered. Cars moved like ants. The world spun on, indifferent. But his world had changed, and she was still asleep on his couch. Lila, the name felt strange in his mouth. Delicate, like a memory that didn't belong to him. She stirred slowly, blinking against the soft morning light. For a second, she looked peaceful, until reality snapped back into place. Her body tensed, her eyes darted, fear returned. Ethan stepped forward, careful not to startle her. "It's okay," he said gently. "You're safe here." She sat up quickly, holding Hope close, as if someone might still take her away. I didn't steal anything," she said quickly. "I swear." Ethan raised his hands. "No one's accusing you of that." Silence stretched between them, thick, awkward, weighted by everything unsaid. "Do you want to eat something?" he asked. She nodded once, almost ashamed to admit it. They sat in the open kitchen, he in a tailored shirt, she in an oversized hoodie he'd given her. She ate quietly, like every bite had to be earned. He watched her, studying every movement, every glance. She wasn't just poor, she was broken, guarded, like a stray animal that had been kicked too many times. "Lila," he began softly, "can I ask you something?" She paused, mid-bite. "How long have you been living on the street?" She didn't answer at first. Then, in a voice barely louder than a breath, "Since I was 14. Ethan felt something twist inside him. 14. He leaned in slightly. "What happened?" Her hands clenched. "My mom died. Overdose. I never knew my dad. Foster homes. They were worse. I ran." "And the baby?" She looked down at Hope. Her voice turned to glass. "She's mine. Her father left before she was born. Said I ruined his life." Ethan swallowed hard. She was just a child herself. But here she was, fighting to keep another life breathing. And all she ever got in return was rain. Hours passed. Lila was given clean clothes, a proper room, and a place to rest. But Ethan couldn't rest. Not yet. He sat at his desk, staring at her name written on a notepad. Lila. Who was she really? He needed answers. He made a call. "Stephen, I need a full background check. Name, Lila Carter. No idea if it's real. Around 16. Had a baby named Hope. Might have been in foster care. Start there." The assistant paused. "Is she trouble?" Ethan's voice was sharp. "Number, she's a kid. Do it quietly." And then he hung up. The results came back within hours. Stephen's voice was low. "Sir, there's something you need to see." A file landed in Ethan's inbox. Dozens of pages, reports, photos, court records, missing child notices, and then a sealed document. One sentence stood out. "Child removed from foster care after repeated abuse by house guardian. No placement found." Ethan's hands shook. She wasn't just homeless. She was failed. By the system, by society, by people who should have protected her. She ran because staying meant pain. She survived not because of help, but in spite of its absence. He read further. Hospital reports, fractured wrist, malnutrition, psychological evaluations. The weight of it crushed him, and then came the part that broke him completely. Hope's birth certificate. No father listed, but scrawled in Lila's shaky handwriting beside Mother's name. I'll protect her no matter what. Tears threatened to fall, but Ethan didn't let them. He stood, walked to the nursery, and found Lila watching Hope sleep. She didn't hear him come in. She just sat there, staring at her daughter, whispering something. He stepped closer. Her voice was soft, broken. I know you deserve better. I just don't know how to give it to you. Ethan couldn't stay silent. You already are. She looked up, startled, eyes wide, walls up. But something in his face told her. He'd seen it. All of it. I'm not here to fix you, he said gently. But I won't let the world break you any further. And in that moment, the billionaire and the beggar weren't strangers. They were just two people. One with money, one with strength, and both with scars. It had been 3 days since Lila and Hope entered Ethan's world, but it felt like a lifetime. The penthouse, once cold, sterile, more like a museum than a home, was now alive. Hope's soft giggles echoed down the marble halls. Lila's quiet footsteps replaced the silence that used to scream. Ethan found himself pausing work just to listen. Something inside him had shifted, not out of guilt, not out of charity, but because he felt again. One morning, as sunlight spilled into the kitchen, Lila stood by the window, coffee in hand, baby on her hip. Ethan watched from across the room. You ever think about going back to school? He asked. She laughed softly, almost bitterly. I can't afford diapers, Ethan, let alone college. What if you didn't have to worry about that? She turned, brow furrowed. What do you mean?
I mean, you stay here, as long as you need. I'll help. Get you enrolled. A real future, for both of you. She stared at him. Disbelief clouded her face.
Why would you do that?
He hesitated, then spoke with quiet honesty. Because once, a long time ago, I needed someone to care about me too. No one did. So I shut the world out. Built walls. Poured money into distractions. But the moment I saw you in that rain, it was like life gave me another chance. Tears formed in Lila's eyes. Hope reached up, grabbing a strand of her mother's hair. That small gesture, that innocent touch, it said more than words ever could.
You don't owe me anything,
She whispered. Ethan smiled. Maybe not. But sometimes, the people we meet in our darkest moments, they're not here to be saved. They're here to save us. Weeks passed. Lila began online classes. Hope gained weight. Healthy, bright-eyed, endlessly curious. The penthouse had toys now. Books. Laughter. Even burnt toast on some mornings when Lila tried to surprise Ethan with breakfast. He didn't care. In fact, it became his favorite kind. She was blossoming. Not into someone new, but into the version of herself she was always meant to be, before life tried to steal it away. One evening, as they all sat watching the city lights, Lila turned to him.
You changed everything for us.
He shook his head. No. You just reminded me what life actually means. She smiled. A real one this time. The kind that doesn't just curve your lips, but softens your soul. And so, a billionaire set out to close another business deal that rainy day. But instead, he opened his heart. He thought he was rescuing a girl in need, but in truth, she rescued him from the emptiness he didn't even know he was drowning in. So here's the question we all need to ask ourselves. If you saw someone crying in the rain, would you walk by? Or would you stop long enough to change both your lives